Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over an emotional piano melody that I made recently and just take a look at everything that I did to get a similar vibe to like Polo G or Lil Tjay, something like that, with the dark ambient piano melodies. This sample that I'm going to be looking at is part of a sample pack that I just recently dropped with a bunch of dark and emotional samples like this. So I'll go ahead and leave a link down in the description for that. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my other tutorials and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like these. Let's go ahead and get right into the video. Alright, so I got the finished sample pulled up here. As you can see, we're at 174 BPM. The final sample is in E minor. I'll go ahead and play how the final sample sounds so you can hear it, and then obviously I'll go into everything that I did. Alright, so that's the final sample. As you can tell, the main part of the sample is the piano. That's probably the most complex part. But everything else is pretty simple. So other than the piano, there's just a strumming guitar, a bass line, and then a little vocal in the background. So yeah, let's get right into the piano. Alright, so I got the piano MIDI pulled up here. I grabbed the ballad piano from Keyscape, and as for the MIDI, it looks kind of complicated, but I'll go ahead and just break it down. I started with the root note at D, so we're in D minor, and then I just made a bass pattern. So I started with D, went down to C, and then A sharp, and then what I did from there for all of the root notes is I just added a minor triad chord, and what that means is it's a triad because there's only 3 notes in the chord, and I just skipped 2 notes in the key for each note that I added. So I went up here 2, added this one, up 2, added this one, and then I did that for all of the root notes. So it started here, up 2, that was down here, and then up 2 again, like that. So I just did that for all of the root notes, and then what I did is I took the middle note of all the chords and pitched it up an octave. And that's basically all I did for all the chords with the root notes here. And then I also added some variation. Like when it goes down here a half step, then I added this C note. And I did that for all the chords as well, just kind of by feel, kind of by whatever sounded good. And then the last thing I did is I took the root note pattern that I started with, I duplicated it and then pitched it down an octave and lowered the velocity. So I'll go ahead and play how that sounds. So yeah, the last thing that I did is I added a top melody here. So for these notes here, I just took the top notes of every chord. So F, E, and then C, and D here. And I just stretched them out and put them up an octave. And then I added this little top line melody here. There's no real reasoning behind this. It's just kind of by feel, whatever sounded good. So I'll go ahead and play how that sounds. Alright, so once I had the piano MIDI how I wanted it, I went ahead and exported it as an audio file. So I have that here. And then I pitched it up 3 semitones. So we went from D minor to F minor. And then what I did to get that that effect that the song 21 by Polo G has with the really like low, dark ambient piano. What I did to get that effect is I duplicated the piano that I exported and made it unique and then pitched it down an octave. So I put this one up 3 semitones, and then so an octave from there would be down 9 semitones. And it just gets that really like dark, emotional piano kind of sound. So I'll go ahead and play what that sounds like. And then it goes up an octave. Alright, and then I added an EQ to EQ out some of the low ends, some reverb and delay to the piano. And then the next thing that I wanted to add was a little guitar. So I found this guitar in Omnisphere called the Bluesy Lead guitar, and I added an EQ to that, EQ'd out some of the high ends, some of the low ends, added reverb, chorus, and delay to that, and then also panned it to the left. And so with the piano it sounds like this. Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to add was a vocal in the background, so I pulled up Arcade and found this preset Mists of Time. And then what I did is I EQ'd out a lot of the low end and then boosted some of the high end. And then just added that to the guitar and piano, and it sounds like this. So I didn't want to have the vocal be too loud or too prominent. I wanted it kind of just in the background. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the piano, the guitar, and the vocal. So the next thing that I did once I had that is I sequenced it out with the stems, and then I exported it as an MP3 and brought it back into the playlist. And then I pitched it down 1 more semitone, so we went from F minor to now we're in E minor. And then I wanted to just add a bass line and a little vinyl texture to fill out the sample a little bit more. For the bass, I just found this one-shot bass. Make sure you control the envelope and make sure it's cutting itself. So I just added a simple bass line pattern and then the texture, and I'll go ahead and play how that sounds all together. Okay, so the last thing that I did is I exported it as an audio file again and brought it back in. And then this time I just wanted to add some effects on the master. So I added an EQ and got rid of some of the spot where there was like a lot of harshness with the piano. And then I added some RC20 and ozone imager to widen it up. And so that's all I added on the master. And that's pretty much it for the sample. Like I said, the main element of the sample is the piano. That's the most complex part, and then I added, you know, the vocal and then the guitar to just kind of make the melody more interesting, and then also added the bass line and the texture to just kind of fill it out. And that one good trick with exporting it as an audio file and then lowering it down an octave is a good way to get that Polo G, like emotional piano type feel. So yeah, I'll go ahead and play the final sample. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I will leave a link in the description for my most recent sample pack with a lot of samples like this. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.